to surreal and potentially maddening. See blank dash blank. In addition, the windows appear to function bidirectionally, exposing the viewer to the gaze of whatever is being viewed. Regardless of the time required for the viewer to accumulate to the needed focus for the image, after the same amount of time has passed with the user viewing through the window, the interface appears to undergo a secondary change, effect 2, and becomes permeable, although only to the viewer in the viewed subject area. See event log blank, 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 dash blank, and blank. The requirement for viewing appears to extend to the secondary effect, even in the case of event blank dash blank, where the subject was dismembered and pulled through the image. 2 other subjects in the test room were unaffected. Addendum. Photographs, scans, and copies of SCP-508 do not inherit its primary properties, as the user is unable to see more than a strangely compelling blur. All such copies should be kept filed away, and no personnel shall view them for more than blank minutes in any given blank hour period, as extensive viewing has shown to induce overwhelming desire to see the original. If the subject is unable to see more than blank percent of the image due to it being partially covered, obscured, etc., neither effect is demonstrated. Copies of SCP-508 show the same limitations with regards to effect 3. Addendum. Careful removal of backing material revealed a price sticker indicating SCP-508 was sold for $14.98. No indication of the store from which it was sold was found, nor the UPC code able to be matched to any known database. Test logs. Experiment 1. Male subject D-9211 was exposed to SCP-508 and told to make any note of any image perceived. After 93 seconds, the subject began to giggle. When asked to explain, subject blushed and stated, "Oh, nothing. I just nothing. Really, just a funny view." Later, interrogation revealed SCP-508 to have provided a view into a woman's changing room at local department store. Subject terminated -07-10 1623 due to unreliability. Experiment 2. Male subject D-599 was placed in a chair in front of SCP-508 without instruction. The subject was seen to glance at SCP-508 momentarily, look around, then return to observing it with a perplexed expression on his face. After 102 seconds, subject appeared to enter a state of extreme agitation, sweating profusely and attempting to draw back from SCP-508 without leaving the chair. After an additional 102 seconds, Subject suddenly became very pale and attempted to leave the chair. After moving less than 12 inches, subject screamed and collapsed to the floor. Examination of subject revealed an 11-centimeter cylindrical sediment missing from the left side of the subject's abdomen. The edges of the wound appeared to be cauterized. Autopsy revealed that death occurred due to severe systematic shock. Experiment 3. Male subjects D8788 and D7422 placed in test chamber with SCP-508 and instructed that the first to identify the image would win a prize. After several minutes of vying for position, the subjects both began to scrutinize the poster. After 87 seconds, D7422 suddenly turned his head away in disgust. Inquiries as to what had happened became visible were not responded to, and subject was remotely terminated. D8788 was advised to resume the test on pain of suffering the same disposal. After 92 seconds, D8788 suddenly smiled and moved closer to SCP-508 before tapping on its surface. Subject appeared surprised to find a solid surface, but continued to observe. After an additional 87 seconds, the subject was seen to lift his head and sniff, then suddenly dive at SCP-508, passing through its surface with no resistance. Subject D8788 has yet to be located. Experiment 4. Male subject D4431 and female subject D6744 placed in test chamber with SCP-508. After being shown footage of Experiment 2, both subjects sat on the floor facing away from SCP-508 and began to talk. After several minutes, D6744 shook her head in response to a comment made by D4431 and inadvertently allowed her gaze to rest upon SCP-508 for less than 1 second. Although visually shaken, she looked back at it repeatedly for the next 10 seconds before changing position to obtain a better view. Repeated warnings from D4431 failed to dissuade D6744 from attempting to view the image. After 103 seconds, D6744 suddenly blanched and began to vomit. Subjects were then removed and interrogated. Subject D6744 was unable to describe what she had seen, stating it was wrong, but in a way she could not explain. Subject D4431 admitted to looking at SCP-508 after seeing D6744's response, but claimed to have seen nothing. Subjects quarantined for potential future testing. Experiment 5. Female subject D9801 instructed to enter test chamber. Observe SCP-508 and report back. After 93 seconds of observation, the subject was heard to exclaim, "Oh, that's neat." Interrogation revealed subject to have seen an image of herself in what she thought was some kind of experimental mirror. Subject also noted that the image was not reversed from left to right, as would be the case in a conventional mirror. Subject quarantined to be used for future tests. Experiment 6. Male subject D6621 shown video of Experiment 5 and instructed to enter test chamber. Observe SCP-508 and report. After 97 seconds, subject D6621 made sounds indicative of disgust and stated, "Ew, they can't make it in here, can they?" After an additional 97 seconds, D6621 suddenly demanded to be let out and moved to the furthest point in the test chamber from SCP-508. Of the subject becoming increasingly agitated and demanding to be let out, the subject suddenly began to scream and swat at his legs. Analysis of the video log showed that the subject's legs appeared to be bitten by a number of small creatures. Based on concurrent wounds, at least 27 bites were being inflicted at any one time. After an additional 14 seconds, the subject lost consciousness. Within seconds of the subject being rendered unconscious, all damage ceased. Subject was unable to be returned to consciousness and was terminated blank-21-10-217. Autopsy revealed the bites to be consistent with those of unusual largely bed bugs, with traces of a neurotoxin found within the wounds. Experiment 7. Repeat. Female subject D9801 instructed to enter test chamber. Observe SCP-508 and report back. After 81 seconds of observation, the subject was seen to turn about several times in the state, "Oh well, that's different." Interrogation revealed subject to have seen an image of herself as seen from behind. Upon turning around, subject saw what appeared to be an identical copy of SCP-508 behind her. No such object appeared on the video log. Subject quarantined to be used for future repeat tests. Experiment 8. Male subject D2232 placed in test chamber and told that he would be rewarded if he could properly identify the object shown by SCP-508. Subject had been fitted with a remote activation tranquilizer collar to test the effect loss of vision through unconsciousness would have on effect 2. After 87 seconds, subject leaned forward and stated, "Wow, I didn't know these could show live images. Who is that?" Subject was advised to continue observing. After an additional 87 seconds, the subject made a "come here" gesture towards SCP-508. 6 seconds later, video surveillance shows SCP-507 climbing out SCP-508's frame. SCP-507 indicated appreciation at being received as his most recent shift had interrupted his lunch. SCP-507 was permitted to return to his normal routine. Subject D-2232 terminated due to security risk Brink 2910-427. Tranquilizer collar recovered for future testing.